Hands up, who can remember the 4 founding principles of valuing people? That's right, they were rights, independence, choice and inclusion. They sounded vaguely inspiring, standing there like 4 pillars of democracy. They were retained for valuing people now, but that's been and gone, and what's left? I'll tell you. Blame, self-interest, marketisation and exclusion. Meet the 4 new horsemen of the coalition apocalypse. Any advances in promoting the life chances of people with learning disability are vanishing faster than sea ice around the North Pole. Now, any so-called big society ought to be big enough to look after its less fortunate citizens. But in the hoopla surrounding the Paralympics, people with disability, and some with learning disability too, were patronised in the popular press with tired old clichés about overcoming the odds and being brave. Then just imagine the cruel irony of winning a competition and stepping up to receive your reward from the very man whose policies are shredding your future. Booing seemed a very appropriate response. Now let me introduce Juvenal. Juvenal died in the 2nd century AD. He's the man who invented satire. Not in the contemporary stand-up comedian sense of the word, but more in a subtler way he critiqued policy and government. Think of the thick of it in a toga. Juvenal would have loved the ironies and excesses of our more contemporary times. He would have seen through the government's ploy. They gave us a summer of bread and circuses with the Olympics, but now it's back to business as usual, with austerity treadmills, food banks and rising hate crime, and of course benefit cuts. Juvenal lived in Rome when the empire was at its peak. After that, there's only one direction. A man called Gibbon wrote about that in a book called Decline and Fall. George Osborne read history at Oxford. I wonder if he read Gibbon, and if he did, what lessons did he learn?